Have you ever been driving along, everything feeling completely normal, and then out of nowhere your car just starts behaving strangely? Maybe the engine feels sluggish when you pull away from the lights. Maybe your fuel economy has quietly dropped over the past few weeks, and you can't work out why. Perhaps a warning light has appeared on the dashboard that wasn't there yesterday, or the transmission has started shifting in a way that just doesn't feel right. It's unsettling, and for most people, the immediate thought is the same. How much is this going to cost me? But here's something that most car owners don't know, and something that mechanics are well aware of. A surprising number of these issues don't actually require a repair at all. They require a reset. Modern vehicles are incredibly sophisticated machines, but at their core, they're running on software, sensors, and computers. And just like any computer system, they can develop glitches, store incorrect data, or simply lose their calibration over time. When that happens, the fix isn't always a new part or an expensive diagnostic session. Sometimes it's something you can do yourself, for free, in your own driveway. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 reset methods that professional mechanics use as their first line of troubleshooting before they ever recommend replacing a single component. These aren't shortcuts or workarounds. They're legitimate procedures that address real electronic and software-related issues inside your vehicle. Some of them take less than 5 minutes. Some require nothing more than turning a steering wheel or going for a short drive. And collectively, they could save you a significant amount of money if you know when and how to use them. Before we get into it, if you find this kind of content useful, please take a second to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Every week we put out practical, no-nonsense car advice aimed at helping everyday drivers understand their vehicles better, spend less money on unnecessary repairs, and feel more confident behind the wheel. Now let's get into the 5 reset methods every car owner should have in their back pocket. Number 1 is the battery disconnect reset, and if you've been around cars for a while, you've probably heard of this one. But it's worth understanding properly because a lot of people either skip it entirely or don't do it correctly, and that means they miss out on one of the most effective free fixes available to them. Modern vehicles are packed with electronic control modules. There's a module managing the engine, one handling the transmission, one overseeing the braking system, others dealing with the body electronics, the climate control, the entertainment system, and more. All of these modules are constantly processing information, making adjustments, and storing data. Under normal circumstances, this is exactly what you want. The car learns, adapts, and optimizes itself for your specific driving conditions. But sometimes these modules store incorrect data, develop minor software errors, or get stuck in a loop processing a fault that has already resolved itself. When that happens, the module doesn't automatically reset. It just keeps running on bad information. Disconnecting the battery forces a power cycle across all of these systems. Without electricity flowing through the vehicle, the temporary memory inside these modules clears. When the battery is reconnected and power is restored, the systems restart fresh and begin their relearning process from the beginning. This can resolve a rough idle that appeared out of nowhere, minor sensor glitches that were triggering incorrect readings, radio and infotainment issues, unexplained electrical faults that mechanics sometimes call gremlins, and false warning lights that appeared without any underlying mechanical cause. The procedure itself is straightforward. Make sure the ignition is completely off before you touch anything. Disconnect the negative terminal first, which is the black cable, and set it aside so there's no risk of it making contact with the battery post. Leave it disconnected for at least 10 to 15 minutes. This is important because modern vehicles have capacitors and other components that can hold a small electrical charge even after the battery is disconnected. Giving the system enough time to fully discharge ensures a proper reset rather than a partial one. After the waiting period, reconnect the negative terminal, start the engine, and give the car a chance to settle. Don't be alarmed if the idle feels slightly rough for the first few minutes, or if some of your settings like the clock, radio presets, or window auto-close functions need to be reprogrammed. That's all completely normal. The car's systems are relearning, and within a short driving period, most vehicles return to normal operation. Many experienced mechanics perform this step as a matter of routine before diagnosing any electronic complaint. The reason is simple. There's no cost, no risk, and a meaningful chance it resolves the issue entirely. Number 2 is the ECU relearning drive cycle, and this one works hand in hand with the battery disconnect reset. Most drivers are unaware that their car's engine control unit is constantly learning. It's not just running a fixed program, it's actively observing how the engine performs under different conditions and adjusting its settings accordingly. It monitors things like fuel quality, because not all petrol or diesel is identical. It tracks your driving style, whether you tend to accelerate gently or put your foot down. It accounts for engine wear, because an engine with 100,000 miles on it doesn't breathe quite the same way as a brand new one. And it adapts to weather conditions, because a cold winter morning requires a very different fuel and air mixture than a hot summer afternoon. Over time, the ECU builds up a detailed profile of learned values that help the engine perform at its best for your specific vehicle, in your specific conditions, with your specific driving habits. The problem is that when you disconnect the battery, or when certain faults are cleared, that learned data is wiped. The ECU essentially starts from scratch, and until it has enough fresh data to work with, the engine may not perform at its best. The solution is to drive the car through what's known as a relearning cycle. This isn't complicated, and you don't need any special equipment. Start by warming the engine up gently from cold. Avoid heavy acceleration until the temperature gauge reaches its normal operating position. Once the engine is warm, vary your driving conditions deliberately. Spend some time in light urban traffic, where you're stopping and pulling away regularly. Get onto a dual carriageway or motorway, if you can, and cruise at a steady speed for several miles. Allow the engine to sit at idle for a few minutes, perhaps at traffic lights or before you park up. What you're doing is giving the ECU a range of real-world data to work with as quickly as possible. The more varied the driving conditions you put the car through, the faster the system can recalibrate. Drivers who take the time to do this properly after a reset often notice a meaningful difference. Smoother acceleration, sharper throttle response, a more stable and consistent idle, and in many cases, a genuine improvement in fuel economy compared to just driving away and hoping for the best. It takes patience, but it's a completely free way to help your car perform the way it should. Number 3 is the steering angle sensor reset, and this is one that catches a huge number of car owners completely off guard. You've had the battery disconnected, or you've just completed a service, or perhaps you've had some work done on the suspension, and suddenly the stability control warning light is on. Maybe the traction control light is illuminated too. You haven't crashed, nothing has been physically damaged, and yet the dashboard is telling you something is wrong. In a lot of cases, the culprit is the steering angle sensor. This is a sensor that continuously monitors the position of your steering wheel and feeds that information into the vehicle's safety systems. Your stability control, your traction control, and in some vehicles, your power steering assistance all rely on knowing exactly where the steering wheel is pointing at any given moment. When the car detects that the road wheels are responding differently to what the steering angle suggests, it can intervene to keep the vehicle stable. It's a clever and genuinely important safety feature. But here's the issue. The steering angle sensor needs a known reference point to operate correctly. It needs to know where straight ahead is, and certain events, particularly a battery disconnect, can cause it to lose that reference point. When that happens, the sensor becomes confused. It thinks the steering wheel is off-center even when it isn't, and the safety systems respond by throwing up warning lights and potentially reducing their effectiveness, even though nothing mechanical is broken. Now let's get to what might be the most important component in the entire cooling system, the water pump. If the thermostat is the gatekeeper and the radiator is the heat exchanger, the water pump is the heart. It's the force that keeps coolant moving through every part of the system. Without it, nothing else works the way it's supposed to. The water pump is driven by the engine, either through a belt or directly by the timing chain, depending on the vehicle. Every time the engine runs, the water pump is running too. It pushes coolant through the engine block, through the cylinder head, through the heater core, through the radiator, and back again in a constant loop. It never stops. It never gets a break, and because of that, it's subject to constant wear. Over time, the internal impeller that drives the coolant flow can wear down or even break away from the shaft. The seal that prevents coolant from leaking out can fail. The bearing that allows the pump to spin smoothly can wear out and develop a grinding sound that gets louder over time. Any of these failures will reduce or eliminate coolant circulation, and without circulation, heat builds rapidly throughout the engine. Signs of a failing water pump are worth knowing. A coolant leak coming from near the front center of the engine, a grinding or whining noise that seems to come from that same area, an engine that overheats despite having adequate coolant levels, steam coming from the engine bay without an obvious external source. If you notice any of these signs, getting the water pump inspected as soon as possible is not something to put off. A failed water pump can lead to catastrophic engine damage in a surprisingly short amount of time. There's one more cause of overheating that deserves mention, because it's one that many drivers don't think about until it's too late: a blown head gasket. The head gasket is a seal that sits between the engine block and the cylinder head. Its job is to keep combustion gases, oil, and coolant all separated from each other inside the engine. When it fails, those barriers break down. A blown head gasket can allow coolant to leak into the combustion chamber where it burns off as steam. It can allow hot combustion gases to enter the cooling system, raising temperatures dramatically and creating pressure that overwhelms the system. It can allow oil and coolant to mix, which ruins the lubricating properties of the oil and can accelerate engine wear significantly. It's a serious failure, and overheating can both cause it and be caused by it. The signs of a blown head gasket include white smoke from the exhaust, a sweet smell coming from the exhaust pipe, a milky or frothy appearance to the oil on the dipstick, and coolant levels that keep dropping with no visible external leak. If you see any of these signs, get the vehicle looked at immediately. Continuing to drive with a blown head gasket almost guarantees you'll end up with a much larger and more expensive problem. So now you know the main reasons engines overheat. But what do you actually do if it happens to you while you're driving? Because panic is your enemy in that situation, and having a plan in advance makes all the difference. The first thing to do is turn off the air conditioning. Air conditioning puts an additional load on the engine, and removing that load immediately gives the cooling system a better chance of catching up. Next, and this feels completely counterintuitive, but it genuinely works, turn the heater on full blast. The heater core is essentially a small radiator inside the cabin. Running it draws heat away from the engine and releases it into the car interior. Yes, you'll be uncomfortable, but you're buying the engine time. Watch the temperature gauge carefully. If it starts dropping, you may have bought yourself enough time to get to a safe location. If it keeps rising despite these measures, pull over safely as soon as you can and shut the engine off. Every additional minute of driving a severely overheating engine risks more damage. Once you've stopped, do not open the radiator cap. This is critical. The cooling system operates under pressure, and that pressure is significantly higher when the engine is hot. Opening the cap while the system is hot can cause a violent eruption of scalding coolant. It happens faster than you can react, and the burns can be severe. Wait, let the engine cool for at least 30 minutes before you even consider touching anything. Once the engine is cool, you can safely check the coolant level. If it's low, you can add coolant or even plain water as a temporary measure to get you to a repair shop. But if you're not sure what caused the overheating, or if it happens again shortly after adding coolant, the right move is to call for professional help rather than risk finishing the job on your engine. Here's the bottom line. Your car's cooling system is one of the most important systems on the vehicle, and it's one of the most ignored. Low coolant, a stuck thermostat, a clogged radiator, a failed cooling fan, a worn-out water pump, a blown head gasket. Each of these can turn a normal day into a very expensive one. But every single one of them gives you warning signs if you know what to look for. Temperature gauge behavior that seems unusual, coolant levels that keep dropping, steam you can smell before you see, sounds from the engine that weren't there before. These are your car talking to you, telling you something isn't right. The drivers who listen save themselves thousands of dollars and years of headaches. The ones who don't eventually find themselves on the side of the road watching steam pour from under the hood, wondering how they missed it. You now know what to look for. You know what each component does, how it fails, and what happens when it does. That knowledge is worth more than you might think. take care of your cooling system, pay attention to the early warning signs, and your engine will thank you for it for years to come.